That key is easily the one that is the most slept on out of all of them. It is very, very well worth the 20-ish thousand rubles that it's being listed for in the flea market right now. Well, gamers, I finally did it. I finally got all of the Lighthouse keys. Now, I did end up having to barter away for them in some cases because most of these keys, the higher end ones, there's 4 or 5 of them that are barter only, but we got them all. There are 14 keys for Lighthouse, and the purpose of this video is to show you where all of them go and the type of loot that you can expect to get out of all of them. All right, well, we've got some armor, and I've got a hemostat or 2. I'll bring a Salewa kit. Now, what to bring? RD-704? M4? No. There's only one true firearm in all of Tarkov that can possibly be utilized for such a task. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The KS-23. She's back, by the way. She shoots straight. We'll give you that highlight video sometime soon. Okay, since we're already kind of south, we'll just start in the southern end. Oh, and don't worry, I'm going to make sure that I include chapters for each one of the keys. So if you need to, just look toward the bottom of the screen along the scroll bar or on the right side, depending on whether or not you're on mobile. There's going to be a list that's going to be denoted by each and every one of the keys on the map. Okay? Anyway, yeah, so let's run there. You know, I really do love that in offline mode you get all these randomized weather effects. Knowing me, it would be like the first map I load would be the one that's got the thunderstorm going on while I'm trying to do a loot video. Thanks, Nikita. Thank you. We all love you. Okay, we made it to the island. First key. Once you come inside the main door here, turn to the right, go inside of this building and up to the 2nd floor. From here, you'll notice there's this fun little door with all these cultist markings. If you unlock this, this is the bedroom key. Now, they recently nerfed this so that it only has 10 charges, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But, yeah. Inside, you will find several different treasure spawns that can have things like this rooster, there's a cat here, there's another spawn here where you see the lion statue. There's also a duffel bag here on the bed. There can also be things like mule stems on the tables on top of here and over here. There is a jacket here. And that's kind of it for this room. In terms of marked keys, this is probably second from the last in terms of like how good they are. I would say that the last place is always going to be PKPM, but this one isn't bad if you end up finding it, and on the flea it shouldn't be ungodly expensive. But that's pretty much this room. Okay, moving on to the next one. Coming back to the main gate again through the main doors. Instead, you want to turn left. Head upstairs in the back here. And then turn to the left. And this is the conference room key. Now, this key is required for a task kind of midway through the task list. So it is something that you will need to get if you're trying to be a completionist and go for Kappa. And so far as loot is concerned, it's really not all that amazing. There is a loose random spawn here on the couch. You have a small weapons box. Sorry for the misfire there. You have a small 4x4 weapons box. Random loose loot that spawns on top of these chairs, foodstuffs, and whatnot. There is an intelligence spawn on top of the desk here. There is also a treasure spawn on top of the safe. You cannot open this safe currently, but there is a treasure spawn on top of this. I've gotten mule stems and whatnot off the top. And then there is a PC that you can also loot here. And that's pretty much it for this room. Because it's for a quest at this point in time, because the key is required for Lighthouse tasks, the only way that you're going to get this one is if you find it in a jacket or if it's barter only. Oh, and I should also mention that there is also rare loot and treasure spawns on top of these shelves. Definitely worth looking at. You can see from all the treasure spawns that this isn't necessarily a bad key, but again, this is one of those that you're going to have to find or barter for or have a really, really good friend that's going to let you in, because you will not be able to buy this for cash at this time. That's it for that one. On to the next room. Our third locked location is up here at the top of this hill. In this case, what we're looking for is the Commandant's office, which you can find by going through and taking a left. You can also walk around, obviously. And you're looking for this radar station. There's a few different ways to approach this. I prefer going in the backside here by this dead scav. You can kind of go around the side. And then this office here is the Commandant's office, which is this key here, the Radar Commandant room key. Again, this is a task key that's required for a task in Tarkov. In order to be able to get this one, it's also at the current time going to be a barter. But when you open it, there is a jacket inside. There is loose loot spawns on these shelves. There's also a treasure spawn on top of here. You can also find an intelligence folder if you're lucky. There's a 4x4 weapons crate, some loose attachments, and back here there is another computer. Now there is a task that requires you to have to collect a hard drive which spawns on top of the desk. I believe it spawns like right here. I've already completed this task. Well, obviously it's not there right now, but that's where it comes from. And that's it for this room. Again, not the most desirable key unless you're trying to finish a task, in which case, obviously, you have to barter for it or get lucky enough to find it. Start farming jackets. Okay, now that's it for the island. So we're going to leave the island. I'm going to pop another SJ6 stim, and we're going to run over back across the water and up to the villas for our next series of keys. Okay, the two villas are what I refer to as red and blue. Well, I always refer to this one as the red villa. Red villa doesn't have any locked doors that have keys, so we're just going to run straight over to the blue one, which has 2. Okay, going into the blue villa, you're just going to walk into like the main center room. Right here in this main center area, there's a set of stairs that go up to the 2nd floor. You're going to take those up, and then it splits into a right and left side. So at the top of the stairs, you're going to turn left, run down this hallway through this door, and there's a bedroom here with a safe. This is one of the USEC safe keys. USEC 1. Inside is rare treasure spawns. L1 stims, mule stims, Bitcoin, etc., etc. The same thing can be said for the other safe, which is on the other side of the staircase, and you just kind of run straight through the hallway to this other bedroom here. And inside, which is the USEC 2 key, located right there, is another treasure spawn. Again, Bitcoin, GP coin, L1 stims, mule stims, pro kill medallions, etc., etc. And that is it for the blue villa. From here, we're going to run across the road over to the Merin Car Trunk. The Merin Car is pretty easy to find. You're going to find yourself along the highway near what I refer to as Pride Rock because of the giant dead tree, kind of like the Lion King, you know? And you're going to run straight up this little hill right here next to the cliff. And at the top of this little hill, there's going to be a parking lot. In the parking lot, right here on the end, is a bright red car. The Merin Car Trunk Key opens this. Now, this key used to be one of the best keys in the game for loot. It used to have crazy spawns. But since they nerfed Lighthouse loot kind of in general for the majority of the key rooms several times over, you can get very lucky with finding stuff in here, but you won't see it be highly valued in terms of barter stuff on the flea market because it's kind of touch and go. Because of the 40 uses that it has, you're not going to see tons of treasure all the time. Although you will find things like, you know, again, Bitcoin, pro kill medallions, whatnot. There's also iridium spawns, high-tech loot, military cables, and also stims, L1 stims, LH stims, mule stims, you know, the list of treasure loot that spawns on Lighthouse kind of spawns there. That's it for the Merin Key. Now we're going to go over to the village. Okay, as we arrive into the village, this is the bottom of the hill of the village where the bus is. There's a little parking garage or parking lot right here, I guess I should say, and this convenience store. So what we're going to do is we're going to run inside of this convenience store. And here on the left is the convenience store storage key. Right there. Inside, you will find a medical case on the left. There's also loose food that will spawn on the shelves here. And then there's about 5 treasure spawns between this here, the shelves here, this little space right here on top of this overturned shelf, and then in the corner and around the outside of the dead scav. And then the dead scav obviously is also lootable. But that's pretty much it for this room. This key is only like 16, maybe 20k. Extremely valuable key for the money. If this is something that you have a couple of rubles to spend on, this key will end up generating the value of the key in just a single raid, and you can really, really clean up in value by just coming in here and looting stuff. I've found every type of treasure in this room. Really, really good key. Okay, so from here, we're going to end up running up the hill in the village. Okay, on the main street of the village where this blue van is that's kind of got its back opened, there is a gate right here on the fence. There's also a hole in the fence over here. There's one in the back on the other side. There's another one over there. But this house here is the Hillside House. Again, this is a task key that is required for Jaeger task, kind of midway through his task line. And inside, which you have to enter, by the way, for a task, which makes this key, again, barter only. Inside ends up being several treasure spawns and a jacket. So the jacket's here. On the inside, there is a treasure spawn here on this couch. There is a treasure spawn that's located underneath the desk here. There's another one on top of this desk here. There's sometimes some loose loot that spawns here on the rug. There is a duffel bag, and then inside the kitchen, There's another spawn here. You'll find loose food. And then over here in the sink is another treasure spawn. The stuff will spawn right here on top of the sink drain. Hillside House is still a pretty good key, but nowhere near as good as what it used to be, just like the Merin key was. Still very valuable if it's something that you find. Otherwise, again, because it's required for a task and it does have halfway decent loot, it's going to be barter only. That's pretty much it for everything outside of the water treatment plant. All of the rest of the keys that I have inside of this sick case are all going to be in and around water treatment. So I'm going to run over there, and we'll get the last series. Okay, starting at the east gate. If we're going to orient ourselves, there's building 1 over here to my left. Building 2 is the one in the center in the back. And building 3 is over here on the right. On the building 3 side, if we head over to these little storage shacks over here, see how this one says breach? One of these says unlock, this one right here. This one is the workshop key. Inside is a jacket, a toolbox. There will be loose attachments that spawn here for weapons. And then here is a second toolbox. That's pretty much it. There's also some loose attachments that can spawn on the floor, but this kind of lackluster. Not all that amazing, but hey, if you want a jacket, it's a pretty cheap key. Not necessarily a bad one. Probably would make up for the cost. Continuing on along building 3 side, the next key location is located inside of building 3 on the first floor. Depending on how familiar you are with Lighthouse, you may have noticed that there was notes in the patch for 12.12.30 that said that the area got expanded. Well, it wasn't just the island with the lighthouse on it. The buildings for the water treatment plant area also have been buffed, meaning that there's all of these little side rooms that you can get into. Well, not that one, but there's all kinds of side rooms and side hallways that you can enter into. There's secondary entrances and exits. For instance, like this little kitchen area, you can just jump through the window if you want to. Just as a matter of example, as a side entrance. There's also like secondary staircases and stuff outside where you can run up these stairs and into these side hallways for different points of access. The roofs of each one of these buildings is also accessible via the stairs along the outside. Anyway, on the first floor of each one of the buildings, there are locked rooms. All of them are required for different tasks, except for the barracks key. Right now, at least, until they fix it, the barracks key is bugged, meaning that this door here is not something that can be found on the market at the moment. The only reason why I have this one is because I found it in a jacket, and as far as I am aware, it's the only way to obtain one currently. At any rate, inside of this room, there are loose weapon attachments that can be found on the bed. There is an ammo crate. There's also loose spawns all over the place down here, under the beds. I would check underneath the beds. There's a toolbox here on the ground, more loose weapon spawn items. There's a 4x4 crate here, additional weapon spawn stuff, and there is a weapon crate here. It's kind of a lackluster key unless you're really looking for weapon attachments. And maybe in the off chance you end up getting some really rare ammo out of the ammo crate, like M61 or, you know, some of the stuff that can't be found otherwise. And that's it for locked rooms in Building 3. Now we're going to move over to Building 2. Inside of Building 2, again, second door on the left, is the water treatment plant storage room key. In here is exactly what it says. It's a storage room. There's a crate here, toolbox. There is loose treasure spawns that can spawn here. There is an intelligence spawn here on top of the desk. And then there's a loose treasure spawn here on the floor. And then a tech crate there with some other loose loot spawns here inside of this box. And that's pretty much it for this room. Again, kind of lackluster, but the treasure spawn isn't bad. And the tech crate, also not too bad. That's it for Building 2, so we are now going to run over to Building 1. Over here outside of Building 1, the train yard is up that way. This is kind of like the front side of Building 1, the southern face. Just outside the garage door is this truck. This is the police truck that is being referenced by the police truck key. You can unlock the door here and open it. Now, very rarely inside you will find an intelligence spawn right here. And also, there can be an AK that spawns. A lot of times, in order to be able to get the intelligence folder, if it does spawn up here, is you're going to have to jump on top of, like, your buddy's head in order to get a boost to be able to reach it. But there is an intelligence spawn in here, and an AK that sometimes is in here, like, leaning up against the chair. But that's pretty much it. It's a super cheap key, though, so if you're really trying to be a completionist and fill it out and you find yourself on this side of Building 1 a lot, not necessarily a bad thing to have. Also outside of Building 1 is another shack that you can access. So if you're staring at building 1, coming up toward it, again from the southern face of it, it's this second shack door, which is the USEC, Rogue USEC stash key. It's not the USEC stash, that's for customs. It's got to say Rogue USEC stash. Inside is a large weapons crate, a 4x4 weapons crate, and then a standard size weapons crate. There's also random loose attachments for weapons that will spawn here on the floor in front of the couch. And sometimes you can also see like a MRE or some other food items that'll spawn like on the chair or on the floor here in front of this fridge. Inside of building 1, there's another locked door on the first floor. Again, this one is required for another task, which is this door right here on the right. So as you come in, it's here on the right. This door is the operating room key, which is another task required key and another one that's likely only going to be found or barter only. On top of these tables, you can find things like mule stims, L1 stims, all kinds of different stims. There's a dead scav to loot here. There's all kinds of stims and stuff that will spawn around this dead body on the table. And again, you need it for a quest. There's also spawns in here. You can, on rare occasion, find rare high-end medical loot inside of this little tin. So this is actually a halfway decent key for medical-related loot on this map. But again, it's something you have to find or barter for. So there you have it. That's every key on the map and the loot that you can find in there. The Hillside House Key, the radar key, the conference room key, the operating room key are all required for different tasks on this map. None of which are going to be items that you're going to be able to find for cash, at least as of the recording of this video for the game. Now, depending on when it is that you're catching this, maybe they'll be available for cash as people kind of progress through the tasks list, and they won't be for barter only anymore. In terms of best possible loot for the entire map in terms of keys are concerned, I would say that that's still going to be Hillside House. It's got an awful lot of treasure spawns. Secondarily, in terms of individual singular map for good loot, I would say is going to be Bedroom Marked, which for 120,000 rubles for 10 uses seems like it's very, very well budgeted. If you're looking for absolute bang for your buck, though, I would say Convenience Store Storage Room Key. That key is easily the one that is the most slept on out of all of them. It is very, very well worth the 20-ish thousand rubles that it's being listed for in the flea market right now. Aside from that, I would work on collecting the barter-only keys. Some of those are extremely valuable in terms of the loot that you can harvest from them, especially because they have 40 uses. So if you find yourself in possession of a bunch of like customs marked keys, for instance, try bartering some of those away for more desirable keys. For my last key, I ended up bartering away a cottage key for Shoreline in order to be able to fill out the set so that I could make you this video. I don't know if that was a good trade or not for Hillside House, but Hillside House has an awful lot of good loot in it. Might not be a bunch of safes, but it's pretty damn good. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this video. Thank you so much for coming and checking it out. Please consider giving me a sub here on this channel if you would be so kind. We're very, very close to 100,000. Please consider giving me a follow on my socials at OnePegMG on Twitter. Check out the merch links and stuff inside of my description. As always, come and check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/OnePeg, where I will be live every day at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right? And we'll see you soon. Peace.